3, and we've talked about Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, which were taken out of Judah. They were caught, made captive. And they were taken to Babylon under this king named Nebuchadnezzar. And were put through these trials. They've already gone through several. I don't know if you ever read the book of Daniel. Alright, well, Daniel was able to interpret a dream Nebuchadnezzar had, a prophetic dream, which foretold all history very accurately. So accurately that people claim Daniel couldn't possibly be true. Skeptics of the Bible say that must be fake. That must not be true. But of course, Dead Sea Scrolls came along and proved it. It was true. You know, I mean, even from an archaeological standpoint, outside of our faith, we know it's true. So, in the beginning of Daniel 3, King Nebuchadnezzar makes a big statue of himself and he tells them, "You will all worship me. You will bow down to this statue." Even though, just before this, God, the real God, has shown himself, revealed himself to Yahweh in a supernatural way. So he's somewhat humbled, but he just goes right on to the next chapter to force all the people to exalt him. So Daniel 3, 7 to 12 says, "So at the sound of the musical instruments, all the people, whatever their race or nation or language, bowed to the ground and worshipped the gold statue that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. But some of the astrologers went to the king and informed on the Jews. They said to King Nebuchadnezzar, 'Live long the king. You issued a decree requiring all the people to bow down and worship the gold statue when they hear the sound of the horn, flute, zither, lyre, harp, pipes, and other musical instruments. That decree also states that those who refuse to obey must be thrown into a blazing furnace. But there are some Jews, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, whom you have put in charge of the province of Babylon. They pay no attention to you, your majesty. They refuse to serve your gods and do not worship the gold statue you have set up.'" You remember who the Chaldeans are, right? They're lawyers. They're the ones that got shown up. Maggie, you okay?
Yeah.
All right. Can you think of any examples of combining music and idol worship in our culture? Can you think of anybody that worships and uses their, like American Idol? I guess they do rap music now. When I was a kid, it was heavy metal. Alright. Back when I was a boy, we used to play heavy metal on guitars. Alright. Hey, Jen. So, these two have always been connected. This is nothing new. In our culture, you know, we see music very rarely exalts God, maybe in our cars, but not in general, right? All around us, we're surrounded by music that exalts what? Sex, drugs, rock, rap music. Used to be rock and roll too, but I guess that's changed also. Satan is particularly clever at using music to promote his false religion. Now, what do you need to do today to receive punishment for being burned alive? Those two different thoughts, but still. What do you need to do? What crime do you have to commit to be burned alive in our culture? Name 3. Eric.
I don't know of any crimes in this culture that we burn people alive.
Really, can you think of any crimes that have recently happened that you feel like, it might be alright to burn that guy alive?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, how about the guy that imprisoned those girls in his basement and, you know, did bad things with them for like 10 years till they finally got caught?
Yeah.
Maybe throw the guy in the fire. I don't know. Just saying. Oh, probably not. Why? Because we're merciful, right?
Yeah.
Right? Is that right? We just go ahead and stick him a nice little needle in his arm, tell him night-night, and that's it. Or what?
Burn him.
Burn him. Right. You put Christine in the basement, buddy. Burning you's not even good enough. Right? Say your prayer first. Okay, you're on fire. That's how I feel. Okay, so, but that's not our culture, is it?
No.
That isn't our culture. It's not the culture we live in. But here we go, back in the old days, remember what they crucified Christ for? Claiming to be God. That was it. That's all he had to do in their culture. And crucifixion's a bad way to go. I'm thinking burned alive, crucified, pretty much terrible, right?
Yeah.
So, what happens to you today if you refuse to worship the idols of our culture?
Nothing.
Other than it's like walking, you know.
Yeah, I mean what? Nothing really. Who has ever been?
You did that.
What did I do?
It could have unplugged. See if
Okay.
It's still on though.
the light's
I think I pushed the button.
Yeah.
Fix it for me, Eric.
Dun, 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 dun.
Eric, the IT man.
Alright, so, if you refuse to worship the idols in our culture, what happened?
Nothing.
Come on, can anybody think of anything bad that happens to you? If you missed last week's American Idol,
You're not.
you refuse to go to the rock show.
You're not cool.
Yeah, you're not cool.
You're not cool?
You're weird.
Now I might just be old, but I don't care at all about being cool. I mean, how important is that?
Being important.
It's
some
important to
people.
some people. Right. All right, so the people in Babylon were pragmatic. What's the easiest way to deal with an edict from the king? Okay, be honest. The king says, you will come and bow before the statue or I'm going to throw you in the fire. What do you do?
Bow before the statue so you don't get thrown in the fire.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, even now. All right, what if you get, there's a law passed. You need to say you pledge to this flag. Whatever it is.
My
Remember
life
last week?
insurance.
Like the crescent, right? You got to salute this crescent flag. It's one we were talking about last week. Who a lot of people have to salute. It's not like they have a choice. They pray 5 times a day, unless you feel like not praying 5 times a day, in which case we'll just leave you alone. Is that true? Or are there right now religious systems on earth where people have no choice at all? You must adhere. You
Yeah.
must come.
Yeah.
You will come,
Yeah.
and you will be quiet.
Yeah.
You might think whatever you're thinking, but buddy, you're going to be on your knees 5 times a day with the rest of us.
Yeah.
Right? Well, whatever. 3, 5, whatever.
Yeah.
So, oh, and you're going to face the right direction too. Don't think you're going to pray facing north, pal. Because Allah doesn't like that. All right?
We weren't mentioning the God.
But the thing is easiest to do is just follow it, right? Follow it. If a guy says, say your prayer and we're not saying under God afterward, I already told you, I'm not saying it. I'm not pledging allegiance to that flag unless it's under God. God first, flag second. God first, flag second. I'm not saying it if I don't say under God. Period. I'm not. I won't. Does it matter? Only to people who really know God, right? I already got my mind made up. That's why it matters to me. It didn't matter to me before. It didn't matter to me when I was first Christian. I could have cared less. In fact, I thought, give me a break. Who cares? If you don't want to say it, don't say it. If you want to say it, say it. So what? And I still sort of think that, in which case I don't think they have to say it. I just think I'm gonna. I'm gonna. God first, flag second. That's why. Now what does Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego have in common with me? How am I expressing their exact opinion?
God first.
God first. King second. Right? He says, go, you're going to get in this fire. They said, no, we're not. You know we're not. You know why? I'm not worshiping your statue. Or Allah. Or anything other than God. So, remember how powerful Daniel became when he alone was able to interpret the king's dream. Okay, real brief thing. The king said, you either will tell me what I dreamed and what it meant, or I'll put you all to death. And of course, they weren't able to do it, because who can do that? God alone, right? So Daniel alone interpreted the king's dream, and he was elevated in status. And his 3 friends kind of followed along with him because they prayed with him. They were kind of like a clique, like a group, you know? The only religious or, God-worshipping people in the whole province Babylon. So they also were elevated, but not to the same level of Daniel. So he gained much power through this, like temporal power, earthly power. He became a governor or whatever it was. So the Chaldeans' religion was shown to be bogus, and Daniel asked the king to spare them too, right? The king was going to kill all of them. They couldn't do it. Kill all those guys unless you can tell me the dream. Well, they couldn't tell him the dream. But Daniel goes to the king, king, please spare those guys. Give them a break. So he interceded for the people who are now going up to King Nebuchadnezzar and saying, those 3 guys didn't follow your rule. They didn't follow your edict. You got to punish these guys. It's just interesting how pagans act like pagans, you know? You pick up a snake and it bites you. Don't pick up a snake. Or a, whatever, spider. Mean dog, rat, I don't know, whatever it is, bite you. So the Chaldeans remembered this. They remembered. And this was their chance. They said, look, we can get these guys back. Let's get these guys. Right? So maybe Daniel was away, and maybe he was just too powerful too. Because they didn't come to the king and say, Daniel won't worship your statue. But I think it's fair to assume from the rest of the book of Daniel didn't have some change of heart. He wasn't like out there worshiping the statue, right? He was just too powerful. He was above them. They didn't dare challenge Daniel's authority. Daniel was in a special place. Or maybe he was out of the province or whatever. But they didn't come to the king and say, Daniel, They saw Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego as vulnerable, able to be gotten. So they stood up for what they believed in, just like all of us do every day. Who stands up for what they believe in every day? Every one of you, and me too. Everywhere you go, every word you say, however you live is a reflection of what you believe. Because ultimately, you will do what you believe. You will do it. There's no two ways around it. If your belief is soft and weak and small and timid, guess what? You're going to have a small, timid walk with God. Your life will reflect your faith. If I really believe that Jesus Christ came back from the dead and is actively having a relationship with me right now, guess what? My life's going to reflect it, man. I'm going to live out my faith. And these dudes were like titans. Okay, I'm a smurf. They are titans of the faith. They're huge. They passed the 2,000-year test. Remember how many people passed that? Not very many. If you do something so cool that 2,000 years from now, some guy's talking about you and all excited about it, you passed the 2,000-year test. Actually, more than 2,000, like 3,500, but it's carried away. 2,600. Okay, so when do you feel the most isolated and the most unique? At what time in your life do you feel the most isolated? When do you feel like you are here and everybody else is over there? Is there a time you feel like that? And I think that's somewhat natural. It's not just Christians that feel that way. I mean, you can isolate yourself by having blue hair and 7 earrings in your face and, right? Tattoos all over. Don't those people feel isolated? And how's it different? How's it different, right? I might be isolated because I'm the only Christian in a room. And maybe some other guy's so mad and so furious and so full of pain and so full of anger and regret and vengeance and all these other things that he's acting out in a completely different way, isn't he? He's hurting himself, right? So that guy sitting there with all the stuff in his face, he probably needs something from you, huh? Love, maybe? You know, maybe a little acceptance? Or maybe he's just going to be really mean to you. Who knows? Who knows? But maybe he's being mean to you for a reason. Maybe he feels like this. I don't even know where that's coming from. It didn't even occur to me when I was doing the lesson. So, there were other families that were taken out of Judah. Remember, this was like a group of them. There was a group of men, young men taken out of Judah. They were going to be indoctrinated into Babylonian ways, language, thought. And they were going to be used to rule Judah. Right? Like, how can I best rule English-speaking Americans? Well, I'm going to go get me an English-speaking American. I'm going to use him as my vassal. I'm going to make him my king. And this was common throughout this time of the world. That's how they did it. Babylon dominated lots of lands, but they left some semblance of power of those people. Right? They just wanted the money, the tax, and the reverence. You know, you bow to our statutes, you take our religion. Now remember also that all of the other lands lost their religion. That's what's one of the most unique things about Judaism. It's still Judaism. Man, it's 2013. There's still Judaism. There still are religious Jews. They wouldn't surrender their religion, and they didn't surrender their religion, even though they were conquered over and over and over and over. And even though all of the other lands that were conquered were forced to give up their own religions. It's remarkable, man. So, only Daniel and these three friends, at least according to the Bible, at least from what we know, refused to compromise. They lived out their faith. Now, how hard would that be? Say everyone in our church is captured, okay? And they come up, the government says, you guys get in the line. Now you're going to do this thing that, or salute our flag with a little crescent on it. You're going to say, I pledge to Allah, okay? Which I do not. And most of them do it, okay? Everybody does it. Say it's just you and your three pals standing here going, I'm not doing that. Oh, it doesn't matter. Come on, it doesn't matter. Who cares?
Your heart.
Who's watching? Just cover your heart and say, I pledge to Allah in the name of Allah. You gonna do it? Because I hope when I'm standing there alone, I'm not standing there all alone. I hope there's some of y'all are with me. Right? I mean, because that is what we're talking about. All they had to do is worship a statue, man. Big deal. I gotta tell you, I'm 41. For 38, at least probably 38 years of my life, I would have been like, whatever. Right? Maybe 37 years. Because even when I was a new Christian, who cares? Who cares? Right? I didn't have all this conviction. This grew out of something. Okay? You know what I know what it grew out of. knowing God, man. Studying God's Word every week. Going to seminary, spending all my time writing papers, knowing God changed me. And the same thing is true about everyone here. Knowing God will change you. Right? Now, either you'll become over here with me and I'm a crazy lunatic who has lost logic. That could be. I mean, maybe I'm completely crazy. Maybe all this love of logic I have is complete fallacy and I've lost touch with everything and I can no longer reason, and that's why I believe in God so strongly. Or, I believe in God because now I've experienced Him. It changed my life. I opened myself to the possibility and bam, everything changed. Everything. And now when I make a decision, I go, not doing that. Because, okay, got you, God. And hopefully I make the right decisions. Not that I always do, because get real. I don't. But wouldn't it be easier and more reasonable to just conform? I mean, you're going to die if you refuse. We're not going to give you a nice little vein either here. Come on, partner, say your prayer, eat your nice meal. Okay, I know you brutally murdered 26 people, but come on, partner, say a prayer with the nice pastor and come in the nice room, lay on the nice bed, give you a little shot, and you go sleepy sleepy. No. No, these guys are being burned alive. Burned alive. Christ was crucified. They didn't just execute him. They stuck him on a tree after they whipped him. You know what I mean? So, wouldn't it be easier just to conform? Come on. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Under God. Me? Under God. Like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, I already got my mind made up. I already know what I think. I already know why I think it. I already know why it's important to me. That's what gave them the power to stand. So the Chaldeans were priests, they were astrologers, lawyers. I can't spell. I mean, I can spell, but sometimes I mistype. It's already pointed out to me. For Bel-Merodach, okay, which is Satan. Okay, Bel-Merodach, just another name for Satan. Okay. I can pronounce Yahweh, Yahweh, or I can pronounce it Yahweh, right? Some guys pronounce it Jehovah. Does God know who we're talking about? By the way, it is Yahweh, not Jehovah. Okay, and they were angry. They were spiritually energized. They were energized, okay? These three Hebrews were given places of authority. Now, imagine that too, okay? As a Christian, imagine that you lived your faith every day so much that everybody that knew you were a Christian, okay? You with me? Mm-hmm. And everybody else, they're pagans, okay? They're angry at you. Just like I've experienced all the time, and I hope all of you do too. People don't like you like that because they know you're Christian, okay? Now, you get the place of honor, authority. Now you're in authority over these people. These people are like, man, that guy Christian, thinks he's better than me, whatever it is they think, okay? Now you're elevated above them. Are they shooting for you?
Yeah.
Are they gunning for you?
Yeah.
Are they going to get you?
Oh, yeah.
If they get a chance?
Yeah.
Hey, that Christian, you know what that Christian did? He did something I do every day. Ha! Why? Why is that? Because that's a real dynamic in life. And it was a real dynamic for me when I was a pagan. Okay, I watched those Christians and I messed with them. I did. It's truth. I did. I was angry. Not necessarily at them, but I was just angry I didn't have any meaning or purpose, and I was aware of the fact that I didn't have any meaning or purpose. It drove me crazy. I hated it. And that's why you meet a seeker who wants to argue with you. Guess why? They don't like the answers they have come up with. They don't like it. Who wants to recognize the fact that I'm temporal, I only live that long, they're telling me I randomly evolved out of goo, there is no meaning or purpose, and 100 years from now there's literally nothing I can do that will matter. Even if I have 26 kids, they're all going to die too, and that doesn't matter either. Who wants to live with that reality, man? Who wants to live like that? Because when I lived like that, can I get a witness? I was an angry, angry man. I was angry about it. So when I messed with those Christians, really I was just shaking my fist at the sky, right? So when you rise up, these guys were elevated as these three Jews, these three, not just Jews, but religious Hebrews who loved God. And they were over all these Chaldeans. That must have burned them up. They must have hated that, right? Look at the guys all walking around just trying to be an upright guy. Look at him, pumping around. Look at that jerk, looking down his nose at me. Right? Because that's what life is like. That's what life is like as then. And by the way, we're not getting smarter. Humans. Just a
Yeah,
little,
just did the
little
study.
flash for you. We're not getting smarter as we go forward. Okay? They were just as smart as us. Probably smarter. Or not. But genetically, they were the same. We're not getting more evolved. That's a fallacy. So, Daniel 3:13-15 says, Then Nebuchadnezzar flew into a rage, and he ordered that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego be brought before him. When they were brought in, Nebuchadnezzar said to them, Is it true, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that you refuse to serve my gods or to worship the gold statue I've set up? I will give you one more chance to bow down and worship the statue I've made when you hear the sound of the musical instruments. But if you refuse, you will be thrown immediately into the blazing furnace. And then what God will be able to rescue you from my power? That must have been terrifying. Be honest. It's scary when somebody who has authority over you threatens you. It is. It's scary. And I can talk about how bold I am or whatever, but I'm scared too. I've been arrested. I hated it. It was horrible. It was horrifying. And I wasn't getting thrown into a fire. I just had to go sit in a concrete room for a little while. Okay? This is in another life. That's, of course, this is Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And
I haven't seen that one. That's a cute one. Usually I've seen all the ones you have. That's a cute one.
so Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego had done their duty. They learned the culture and they excelled in their positions in Babylon. They refused to bow down when it came to the law of God, though. They knew where the line was and they refused to cross it. This is different from open rebellion, right? Isn't this different? If you go to college and you excel and you get straight A's, even if you don't believe in the stuff they're shoveling you, it's okay. It is okay. Go, excel. Be good at it. You don't have to believe it. For that minute, for that whatever, you do what you got to do. This isn't conforming unless there's a clear line. Now, if somebody says, worship, say a pledge allegiance to my flag to Allah. Is that a line?
Yes.
Deny Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior. Is that a line? Mm-hmm. There are certain times when, as a Christian, you got to stand up. No, I won't do that. I won't do it. Come to our schools and learn our language. You can do it? Sure, why not? Why not? Why not? If you keep this going, vertical, if you know who you are and what you believe and why you believe it, sure. I mean, come on. You got to live, you got to eat, right? It's kind of a gray area because I could be all like, live every minute for God. And you might be like, gotta go to work on Monday. Right? Where do you draw the line? That's what this whole thing's about. So, have you ever had a moment like this? You're called, come do this wrong thing. You ever done the wrong thing? Because y'all are young. I remember my buddies, hey man, we're gonna go get drunk, it's gonna be great. Yeah man, it's gonna be hot women there. Whatever it was they said to me. Okay? Guess what? I did it! Okay, I did it! It was bad. Did I get any satisfaction or happiness or... I mean, come on. Let me tell you, no. No, I didn't. I got temporary, whatever. Fun. And then, despair. So sacrifice your faith and compromise your morality. When does that lead to a good thing? Somebody give me an example of a time when they were like, I know I shouldn't do it, but they... because of a moral stand, and then you did it anyway, and then it turned out to be really great for you.
Never.
Never, man. Never. There's nothing worse than waking up and going, I can't believe I did that. I mean, right? It's terrible, man. There's nothing worse than regret. What's another word for regret? Hangover. There's nothing worse than a hangover, okay? What does it look like when you make a decision based completely upon the conviction that Jesus Christ is alive and knows you personally?
Prosperity. It's powerful.
It's powerful, man. My last boss told me, I know we're Christians, but you can't back them into a corner. Back them into a corner? What are you talking about, man? I didn't put them in a headlock or anything. All I did was had a nice discussion. Well, and he said, I said something to that effect. He said, well, every time I go around you, you're talking about Jesus.
Ooh.
Why aren't you, man? Right? All right. So it might be a little different. When I fail, maybe I would be more ready to defend what I knew to be right if a tyrannical king was threatening me to death, right? You say, yeah, that's one thing. You go to work and they're talking about something you know you shouldn't be talking about it, but you want to fit in, right? You don't want to be isolated all the time. You want to have some friends, right? It's just a little minor thing. So you talk about whatever it is you're talking about. Why not? Right? They're all using bad language. You use bad language. Why not? They'll accept you if you do, right? I'll tell you what, because that particular example is like a snowball going down a 1,000,000-mile hill.
That's right.
It was really hard to quit cursing for me. Some people give a testimony, they're like, yeah, I came to Jesus, quit cursing. No, not me. Not me. It was hard. And it's going to be like that in the military. In the mines, places I worked, every other word was the F word. I could say it 5 times in one sentence and make it sound totally natural. I cannot tell you. When I went to stop cursing, I prayed a lot, and I would be like, I couldn't even say a sentence. I just prayed, God, bring it to my attention before I curse. And like I sounded like a moron. I'm like, you want to? I was really hard to quit, man. It was hard. So here you are. You're surrounded by people doing this wrong thing.
Wait, hold on, and I want to give a witness too. He used to say it in front of little children like it was nothing, like it was everyday language, and I'd be like,
Bottom left button.
Very good.
Whoa.
There you go again.
wait, hold on,